My girlfriend said, "I don't need to tell you where I'm going. You're not my dad." I said, "You're right, I'm not." Then I stopped asking and stopped caring. She noticed when I didn't come home either. My girlfriend decided she wanted complete independence while keeping all the benefits of a relationship. So I gave her exactly what she asked for. Here's how 3 years of dating imploded in the most satisfying way possible. I'm 28, work as a commercial electrician in Tampa. Good money, steady hours, own my truck outright. Been with my girlfriend Natalie, 26, for 3 years. We met at a friend's cookout, hit it off immediately, and moved in together. After about 18 months, our apartment was decent. 2-bedroom in a good area, split rent down the middle. Everything fair and square. I handled most of the bills since I made slightly more, but she contributed her share. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our weekend rituals. Thought we were solid. The shift started maybe 6 months ago. Natalie works in social media marketing for some startup. The company's always doing team building events, happy hours, client dinners. At first I didn't think much of it. Professional networking is important, and I'm not some controlling dude who needs to know her every move. But then the communication just stopped. I text asking when she'd be home for dinner. No response. I'd mentioned we had planned Saturday and she'd casually drop Friday night that she'd committed to something else. When I'd asked what her plans were, I'd get vague answers, like just ended life with work people or meeting up with friends. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. I got home around 6 o'clock, started making dinner because Natalie had mentioned that morning she'd be home by 7 o'clock, made her favorite chicken Alfredo with garlic bread, set the table, lit some candles. The whole thing, figured we could use a nice quiet evening together since we'd barely seen each other all week. 7 rolled around. No Natalie, no text, no call. 8 o'clock I texted her. "Hey, dinner's ready. You on your way?" Radio silence. 9 o'clock, "Everything okay?" Getting worried. Nothing. By 10:30 I'd eaten alone. Cleaned up and was watching TV with my dog Bruno. A 3-year-old lab mix I'd had since before Natalie and I got together. Bruno's a good judge of character. He'd been getting less excited when Natalie came home lately. Should have paid attention to that. She finally walked in around midnight, laughing at something on her phone. "Hey," she said, barely glancing up. "What's up? Where were you?" "I made dinner hours ago." She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "I was out where?" "I texted you like 5 times. That's when she said it. The line that changed everything. "I don't need to tell you where I'm going. You're not my dad." I just stared at her. 3 years together, living under the same roof, sharing bills and responsibilities, and she's hitting me with teenage rebellion. Energy. "You're right," I said calmly. "I'm not your dad. I'm your boyfriend who made dinner and waited 4 hours wondering if you were passed away in a ditch somewhere." "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic." "I was just hanging out. I don't need to check in with you like I'm on house arrest." "Checking in isn't house arrest, Natalie. It's basic courtesy. When you live with someone," she rolled her eyes, "you're being controlling. My mom warned me about guys like you. Guys like me, the ones who cook dinner and care if their girlfriend is safe. Real monsters." Apparently I didn't fight it. Just went to bed while she stayed up, scrolling through her phone, occasionally giggling at messages. The next few weeks were more of the same. She'd leave without saying where she was going, stay out until all hours and treat any question like I was interrogating her. Meanwhile, I was still paying more than my share of bills, handling most of the housework, and trying to maintain what felt like a one-sided relationship. My best friend Dave noticed the change when he came by to watch football. One Sunday. "Where's Natalie?" he asked, grabbing drinks from the fridge. "No idea. She left this morning." "Didn't say where she was going." Dave raised an eyebrow. "Dude, that's weird. Apparently asking makes me controlling." "Controlling, bro?" "My girlfriend texts me when she stops for gas." "That's not controlling, that's being in a relationship." Bruno was sitting at my feet, and Dave reached down to scratch his ears. "At least you've got this, good boy. Dogs don't play mind games." Something clicked in my brain. During that conversation, I was putting in all the effort, emotional, financial, domestic, while Natalie was acting like a single woman with a live-in roommate who occasionally got mad at her. The final straw came 2 weeks later, Friday night. I had plans with the guys' monthly poker game at Dave's place. I'd mentioned it to Natalie multiple times throughout the week. She'd said, "That's fine." Talked about having a quiet night at home Friday afternoon. I confirmed with her via text poker tonight at Dave, should be home by midnight. Her response, Kay showed up at Dave's around 7. We played cards, ate pizza, talked about work and sports and normal friend stuff. Good low-key evening. I was home by 1130 earlier than expected. Walked into the apartment to find absolute chaos. Natalie had thrown a party. And I don't mean a small gathering, I mean a full-blown rager with at least 30 people crammed into our 2-bedroom apartment. Music blasting. People I'd never seen before drinking on our couch. Someone had spilled something red all over the carpet. Bruno was locked in our bedroom barking, stressless. I could hear him over the music. I found Natalie in the kitchen wearing a dress I'd never seen, laughing with some guy who had his hand on her lower back. "Natalie, I had to yell over the music. "What is this?" She turned, clearly several drinks in. "Oh, hey, you're home early. It's midnight." I said I'd be home by midnight. "Why are there 30 random people in our apartment?" The guy next to her, tall, wearing a designer shirt that probably cost more than my truck payment, smirked. "Relax, man. It's just a party." "Who are you?" I asked. "This is Kyle," Natalie said, giggling. "He's from my office, Kyle, of course. His name was Kyle." "Natalie, can we talk privately?" She sighed dramatically, like I was ruining her. "Fun. Fine." We went out to the hallway, and I could still hear the music thumping through the walls. My neighbors were going to hate me. "You need to shut this down," I said. "Now why?" "Everyone's having a good time?" "Because you didn't tell me you were having a party. You said you were having a quiet night at home. I don't need your permission to have friends over. This is my apartment too." "Friends? I don't recognize half these people, and you locked Bruno in the bedroom." He was being annoying. Something in me just shut off like a circuit breaker. Flipping. I was done. "You know what? You're absolutely right. This is your apartment too. Do whatever you want." Her eyes lit up like she'd want. "Really? Really? I'm done trying to have adult conversations with someone who acts like a teenager." I went back inside, unlocked the bedroom door so Bruno could come out, and we left. Just walked out of my own apartment at midnight because my girlfriend had decided common courtesy was optional. I crashed at Dave's that night. He took one look at my face and just handed me a blanket for the couch. "What happened?" I told him everything. "The party, the locked dog caught with his hand on Natalie's back." "Dude," Dave said slowly. "That's messed up. Like, really messed up." "I know. What are you going to do?" "Honestly, nothing. She wants to be independent." "She can be independent." Something changed in me that night. I wasn't angry, wasn't hurt. I was just done. Done trying to make someone care who clearly didn't, done being treated like an inconvenience in my own relationship. The next morning, I went back to the apartment around 10 o'clock. The party debris was everywhere, cups on every surface, sticky spots on the floor. The place smelled like stale drinks and too many people. Natalie was passed out on the couch, still in that dress. I didn't wake her. Just took Bruno for a long walk, grabbed my work clothes and left again. Over the next few days, I implemented what I called the independence plan. Natalie wanted to live like she was single. Fine. I'd treat her exactly like a roommate. Nothing more, nothing less. I stopped cooking for two, made my own meals, ate them, cleaned only my dishes, stopped asking where she was going or when she'd be home. She'd walk out the door. I'd just say, "See you later," without looking up. Stopped initiating any plans. If she wanted to do something together, she'd have to be the one to suggest it. Stopped caring about her schedule entirely. She'd text asking if I'd be home for dinner. I'd respond with maybe or not. Sure. Most importantly, I started making my own plans. Lots of them. The gym became my second home. I'd go after work, spend 2 hours there, shower at the gym, and come home whenever I felt like it. Started going out more with Dave and the guys. Dinners, bar trivia nights, weekend fishing trips. Stopped checking if Natalie needed me around. Picked up a side gig doing electrical work for friends and family. Good extra cash, and it kept me out of the apartment. Bruno came everywhere with me. He was happier too. More walks, more car rides, more attention from people who actually liked having him around. For the first week, Natalie barely noticed she was still in her independent woman face, coming and going at all hours, treating the apartment like a hotel. But then she started noticing the changes. Tuesday evening, she came home around 7 to find me heading out the door with Bruno. "Where are you going?" she asked out where. I almost laughed at the irony. Just ended life with friends. "Which friends? When will you be back?" I gave her the same look she'd been giving me for weeks. "I don't need to tell you where I'm going. You're not my mom." Her mouth actually fell open. "That's not funny. Wasn't trying to be funny. See you later." I went to Dave's, helped him install some new lighting in his garage, grabbed dinner at a sports bar. Didn't get home until almost midnight. Natalie was sitting on the couch when I walked in, clearly waiting up. "Where were you?" she demanded. "I told you out for 5 hours." Time flies. When you're having fun, I'm going to hit the hay night. The pattern continued. Every time she tried to pin me down about my schedule, I'd give her the same vague non-answers she'd been giving me for months. The change was subtle at first, but it was happening. I started noticing things I'd ignored before. How our apartment had slowly transformed into her space rather than our space. Her throw pillows everywhere. Her organizational system for everything. Her preferred brand of coffee that I didn't even like, but kept buying because it made her happy. I stopped buying that coffee, started getting my own again. The little accommodations I'd been making for months. Keeping the TV volume low when she wanted to nap. Avoiding certain restaurants because she didn't like them. Scheduling my workouts around her preferred times to use the bathroom. All of that stopped. Not out of spite, but because, why was I accommodating someone who wasn't accommodating me? Tuesday evening, Natalie came home to find me rearranging the living room. I'd moved her decorative pillows to the bedroom and brought back my gaming setup that she'd convinced me to put in storage because it didn't match the aesthetic. "What are you doing?" she asked, staring at the TV and console now prominently displayed, making myself at home. "This is my apartment too, remember, but we agreed on the living room layout." "If you decided on the living room layout, I just went along with it because I thought that's what you did in relationships." Turns out I was wrong. She looked like she wanted to argue, but couldn't find the angle. I'd used her exact logic against her and she knew it. Wednesday I stopped at the grocery store after work and bought only food. I liked no more of her organic overpriced snacks. No more almond milk that tasted like cardboard. No more of that expensive Greek yogurt. She loved just my normal staples, regular milk, actual cheese. The cereal I'd stopped buying because she said it was too sugary when she wanted to make her morning smoothie Thursday and found regular milk instead of almond milk. I could hear her frustrated sigh from the bedroom. "Where's my almond milk?" she called out. "Didn't buy it." "Why not?" "Wasn't on my shopping list. You know, I use it every morning." I walked into the kitchen, grabbed my coffee. "Do I?" "Because you know I make dinner most nights and you stop coming home for it." Funny how that works. Friday night, she came home around 6:30, unusually early for her with takeout. "I got us Thai food," she announced, holding up the bags. "Your favorite." "Cool. I already ate though, and I'm heading out in like 10 minutes out again." "Where? Poker night at Dave's." "You were just there last week." "Yeah, we play every Friday." Now, didn't I mention that I hadn't mentioned it? Obviously the same way. She hadn't mentioned about 90% of her plans for the past few months, but I got food for both of us. She said, her voice getting that edge to it. "Sorry, I didn't know you were planning that. Maybe text me next time." I grabbed Bruno's leash and headed for the door. He was already excited. Knew the routine by now. Friday meant poker night, which meant he got to hang out with Dave's dog, Rocky. A friendly mutt who was great with other dogs. Wait, what am I supposed to do with all this food? Eat it? Save it? I don't know. "Natalie, you're an independent woman. Figure it out." I could feel her staring daggers at my back as I left, but I didn't turn around. Bruno and I got in the truck, and as we pulled out of the parking lot, I felt that same sense of lightness I'd been feeling more and more lately at Dave's place. The guys were already setting up Dave, his brother Mike, and 2 coworkers from my job, Chris and Danny. Good guys. The kind who showed up when you needed help moving furniture or jumps, starting your car at 3 o'clock in the morning. "Natalie finally noticed you have a life?" Dave asked as he dealt the first hand. "Oh yeah, she's noticing. My sister pulled the same thing with her ex," Mike said, tossing in his auntie, "treated him like furniture for 2 years, then freaked out when he started making plans without her. They didn't make it." "You think you guys will make it?" Chris asked. I looked at my cards. Pair of 7s. Nothing special, honestly. No idea. "But I know I'm not going back to how it was good for you, man," Danny said. "My wife tried that independence thing early on. I told her straight up, I'm not doing the guessing game. You're either in or you're out, but I'm not chasing you." "How'd that go?" "Been married 12 years. She shaped up real quick once she realized I wasn't bluffing. The game went on and we talked about everything except my relationship, drama, sports work. That new brewery that opened downtown. Chris's ongoing war with his HOA over his fence color. Normal guy stuff that didn't require emotional processing or deep analysis. I got home around 1130 to find Natalie still awake, sitting on the couch with her laptop. "How was poker?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Good. $140. That's nice." She closed her laptop. "Can we talk about what about us? About what's happening?" "What's happening is we're both doing our own thing. Isn't that what you wanted?" "Not like this." I sat down in the recliner, my recliner that she'd wanted to get rid of because it was ugly, and waited. "You're different," she said. "Finally, you're distant and cold and it's like you don't even care anymore." "I'm exactly the same as I've always been. The difference is I stopped trying to force a connection with someone who wasn't interested. I am interested now." "You are funny how that timing works out." The poker night became a regular thing, so did the gym sessions, the side work, the weekend fishing trips. I was busier than I'd been in years, and honestly, I felt better than I had in months. I wasn't being spiteful or trying to hurt Natalie. I just stopped putting an effort where it wasn't appreciated. Stopped being available by default. Stopped making her my priority when I clearly wasn't hers. Bruno was thriving too. All the extra activity meant he was healthier, happier, better behaved. We started going to this dog park every Sunday morning. Met some cool people there. One woman, Andrea, had a golden retriever that Bruno loved playing with. Andrea and I started chatting during the park visits. Nothing romantic, just friendly conversation about dogs and work and life. She was a nurse, single, had her life together. The kind of conversation where both people are actually present and interested. Not checking their phones every 30 seconds. One Sunday after Bruno and her dog had been playing for over an hour, Andrea suggested we grab coffee. "Sure," I said, "there's a place right around the corner." We walked over with the dogs, got coffee, sat outside talking about everything and nothing. It was easy, comfortable. Dr. Marie, Everything. My relationship with Natalie hadn't been in months. I got home around noon to find Natalie pacing the apartment. "Where have you been?" she demanded the second I walked in dog park for 4 hours. "We went for coffee after Bruno made a friend." "Who's we?" "Me and this woman, Andrea. Her dog and Bruno get along great." Natalie's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. "You went for coffee with another woman?" "Yeah, it was nice. She's cool. You can't just go have coffee with random women." I set Bruno's leash down, grabbed some water from the fridge. "Why not? We're just friends. You have plenty of guy friends like Kyle from your office." "That's different." How she couldn't answer that. Just stood there sputtering while I headed to the bedroom to change clothes. Had plans to meet Dave for an afternoon at the shooting range. "Where are you going now?" She called after me. "Shooting range with Dave." "When will you be back?" "Not sure. Depends on how crowded it is." I could hear her throwing something soft against the wall as I left, probably a pillow. She used to do that when she was frustrated. The next week, things escalated. Natalie started trying to reassert control over my schedule, asking me to stay home, wanting to make plans together, getting upset when I had other commitments. Wednesday evening, I came home from work to find her in the kitchen cooking. I made dinner. She announced chicken Alfredo, your favorite. Same dish I'd made for her months ago when this whole mess started. The irony wasn't lost on me. "That's nice. I already ate though. Got food with some guys from work." "You didn't tell me you had plans." "Didn't know I needed to. You want me to ask permission now?" Her face flushed. "That's not what I meant then." "What did you mean?" She couldn't answer. I could see the gears turning in her head, trying to figure out how to say, "I want you to tell me your schedule," without sounding like the exact thing she'd accused me of. Months ago, I grabbed Bruno and we went for a walk. When we got back an hour later, the food was still sitting on the counter untouched. Natalie was in the bedroom with the door closed. Thursday, she tried a different approach. Affection started texting me during the day with hearts, and inside jokes asked if I wanted to watch a movie that night. Just us can't tonight, helping Dave install some outlets in his basement. "Can't that wait?" "Nope. Already committed Friday." She suggested we go out for date night, where I asked that Italian place you like. "Can't poker night cancel it?" "Why would I cancel plans I already made?" "Because I'm asking you to." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw desperation. She was realizing what she'd taken for granted, but she still didn't understand why I wasn't jumping to fix it. "Natalie, you can't ignore someone for months, then demand their attention when it's convenient for you. That's not how relationships work." "I didn't ignore you. You absolutely did. When I asked for basic communication, you called me controlling. I needed space to figure things out, and I'm giving you all the space you need. You wanted independence. You got it." She started crying. Real tears. Not the manipulative kind. "I made a mistake. Okay? I took you for granted. Can we please just talk about this?" "We are talking." "No. I mean, really. Talk about us, about fixing this." I sat down on the couch and Bruno immediately jumped up next to me. "Okay, talk." She wiped her eyes. "I miss you. I miss us. The way we used to be. The way we used to be was me cooking dinner while you stayed out until midnight without a word. Me trying to make plans while you treated me like an afterthought. That's not something to miss. I know I messed up. I was being selfish. But you've completely checked out. You're never here. You don't tell me anything. You're having coffee with other women. One woman who's a friend, and yeah, I'm not around much. Kind of like how you weren't around much for months. Funny how that works. So, this is retaliated. You're punishing me." "No. I'm living my life. Same thing you were doing. Difference is I'm not throwing parties in our apartment, or locking your dog in the bedroom." She flinched at that. "Good. She should feel bad about that." "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. Honest question. I thought about it for a minute. "I want a partner, not a roommate, who occasionally remembers I exist. I want someone who respects my time and communication. I want to feel like I mattered to the person I'm with." "You mattered to me, do I?" "Because for months I didn't feel that way at all." She was really crying now, and part of me felt bad, but a bigger part of me remembered all those nights, wondering where she was. All those dinners eaten alone. All those times I felt like I was being unreasonable for wanting basic courtesy. "I'll do better," she said. "I promise. Just gimme another chance." Actions, Natalie, not words. I've heard promises before. I got up and headed to the bedroom. Had to pack for a weekend fishing trip with Dave and some guys from work. We were leaving first thing Saturday morning. "You're going away this weekend?" she asked, following me. "Yep. But we were going to talk about this." "We did talk, and now I'm going fishing. Be back Sunday afternoon." Saturday morning, I loaded my gear in the truck at dawn. Natalie was standing in the doorway in her pajamas looking miserable. "Please don't go," she said. "Plans were made weeks ago. Plans with me should come first." They used to remember that Bruno jumped in the truck. He loved fishing trips, and we headed out. Met Dave and the guys at a gas station off I-75. Then convoy up to this spot near Crystal River that Dave's uncle had told him about. Supposed to be great for redfish this time of year. The drive took about 2 hours and I spent most of it with the windows down. Music playing, just existing in the moment. No stress about what Natalie was doing. No wondering if she was texting Kyle. No. Analyzing every word of our last conversation. Just me, my dog and the open road. We got to the spot around 8 and it was perfect. Quiet inlet. Barely anyone around. Calm water. Dave's coworker, Greg, had brought a cooler full of sandwiches and drinks. Mike had the extra tackle box we set up on the shore and just existed. This is what life's about. Greg said, casting his line. No drama, no stress, just fishing and not caring if you catch anything. Amen to that. Dave agreed. My girlfriend wanted me to skip this and go to some brunch thing with her friends. I told her I had prior commitments. She mad. I asked probably. But she'll get over it. I'm allowed to have my own life. We fished for hours. I caught 3 decent-sized redfish, threw 2 back, kept 1 for dinner. Dave caught a monster that he swore was at least 30 pounds, but was probably closer to 15. Mike caught nothing but had a great time. Anyway, Bruno ran around playing with sticks, swimming in the shallower parts, living his best dog life. Around noon, we broke out the sandwiches and just sat there on the shore talking about nothing important. Your girl still giving you grief? Mike asked me between bites. She's trying to. I'm not engaging good. My ex-wife pulled similar stuff, wanted freedom, but also wanted me to sit around waiting for her. When I stopped waiting, she couldn't handle it. What happened? Divorced. Her best decision I ever made. Met someone better. Been together 4 years now, actually appreciates me. Greg chimed in. It's crazy how some people don't value what they have until it's gone. My sister did that with her first husband. Great guy. Treated her like gold, but she took him for granted. By the time she realized he was checking out, it was too late. They work it out. Dave asked. Nope. He remarried. Within a year, she's still single. Still complaining that all men are trash. Can't see that. Maybe she was the problem. We fished until late afternoon, packed up around 4 o'clock and started the drive back. I felt completely recharged. Something about being outdoors, away from technology and relationship drama. Just reset my brain. The weekend was exactly what I needed. Good weather, decent fishing, better company. No drama, no guilt trips, just guys being guys and dogs running around, being happy. I got back Sunday around 3. Natalie's car wasn't in the parking lot. Figured she was out somewhere, which was fine. Bruno and I went inside, and I started unpacking my gear, cleaning my fishing rod, putting everything away properly. My phone had been on silent the whole weekend. When I finally checked it, there were 17 missed calls from Natalie and about 30 text messages. They range from casual, how'd fishing, to increasingly frantic, where are you, to finally angry. You're being ridiculous. I didn't respond to any of them immediately. Just put my phone on the charger and clears throat. Took Bruno for a walk around the complex. We ran into our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who always had treats for Bruno. Haven't seen you around much lately, she commented. Giving Bruno a cookie. Been keeping busy. Good for you. That girlfriend of yours had some loud party here a few weeks ago. Woke up half the building. You weren't here. Yeah, I heard about that. Sorry for the noise. Wasn't your fault, dear, but maybe talk to her about it. Some of us old folks need our sleep. I promised I would, though. I had no intention of talking to Natalie about anything. She didn't want my input on around 5. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalie. Where are you, home? Just got back from fishing. I'm at my mom's. Can you come get me, your car working? Okay. It's not that I just, can you come? Something in her tone made me think this wasn't a simple ride request. What's going on? Just, come please. I sighed. Told Bruno to hold down the fort and drove to her mom's place about 20 minutes away. Natalie was waiting outside and she looked rough, red eyes, no makeup, wearing sweatpants. She got in the truck without a word. What happened? I asked. As we pulled away, I went to brunch with Kyle and some people from work. They were all talking about this party next weekend, making plans, being loud and fun and carefree, and I hated it. Hated every second of it. I didn't say anything, just drove. Kyle's been texting me constantly, wanting to hang out, making jokes, being flirty, and I finally realized something today. What's that? He's an idiot. Like a genuinely stupid person who thinks he's charming, and I was treating him like he was more interesting than you just because he paid attention to me. Okay. That's it. Just, okay. What do you want me to say, Natalie? I don't know. Something, anything. You've been so cold lately and I deserve it, but it's ended a life. Me. I pulled into our apartment complex and parked. Sat there with the engine off, trying to figure out how to explain what I was feeling. You asked me earlier what I want. I said finally, I want to feel like I'm with someone who chooses me, not someone who keeps me around as a safety net while looking for something better. You spent months treating me like I didn't matter. And when I stopped chasing you, suddenly I'm important again. It's not like that. Then, what is it like? She took a shaky breath. I got scared. We were getting so serious and I panicked. I thought if I proved I didn't need you, then I wouldn't be vulnerable. But all I did was push away someone who actually cared about me while surrounding myself with people who didn't give a damn. First honest thing she'd said in months. Kyle texted me today asking if I wanted to come over tonight. She continued, and I realized I didn't want to. I wanted to be home with you watching something dumb on TV with Bruno hogging the couch. I wanted boring and stable and normal. Boring and stable. I repeated. I didn't mean it like an insult. I mean, I wanted real. Something real. Instead of this fake, exhausting thing I've been doing. We sat in silence for a minute. I can't go back to how it was, I said finally. I can't go back to being the only one who gives a damn about this relationship. I know, and I can't just flip a switch and trust you again. You hurt me, Natalie. You made me feel like I was crazy for wanting basic communication and respect. I know. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Sorry is a start, but it's going to take more than that. What can I do? Show up. Actually, show up. Not just physically, but emotionally. Be present. Communicate. Treat me like someone you want to be with, not someone you're stuck with. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I can do that, and Kyle needs to be out of the picture completely. Already blocked him. The party in our apartment, never again. You want to have people over, we discussed it first. Both of us agreed. And Bruno doesn't get locked in the bedroom ever. That was awful. I felt terrible the whole night. We went inside. Bruno greeted us enthusiastically, like we'd been gone for weeks instead of 30 minutes. Natalie knelt down and let him lick her face, apologizing to him between laughs. That night we actually talked. Really talk like adults who care about each other. She explained her whole spiral: work, stress, fear of commitment, the validation she got from male attention at her office. None of it excused her behavior, but at least I understood it. I explained my side, the loneliness, the frustration, the hurt of being treated like an afterthought. How I wasn't trying to be controlling, just trying to be in a partnership. I saw you with Andrea at the dog park last week. She admitted I drove by on my way back from the store and you looked happy, genuinely happy. In a way. You haven't looked around me in months. That's when I knew I'd really screwed up. Andrea is just a friend I know, but the fact that a random woman at a dog park could make you smile more than your girlfriend of 3 years, that was a wake-up call. Things didn't magically fix themselves after that conversation. That's not how real life works. But things did start to shift. Natalie started communicating. Actually communicating. Texting when she'd be late. Asking about my plans. Making time for us to do things together. She stopped going to every single work event. Started choosing which ones actually mattered, and which were just excuses to stay out. She apologized to Dave and the guys for how she'd been acting. Even brought them homemade cookies as a peace offering, which was both unexpected and appreciated. Most importantly, she started treating our relationship like something worth maintaining. Not something that would automatically be there no matter how much she neglected it. I kept up my gym routine, my poker nights, my side work. But I also started making time for us again. Date nights, quiet evenings at home, weekend trips with Bruno. The difference was now it felt mutual instead of one-sided. About a month after our talk, we were making dinner together. Actually together, both of us cooking. Instead of me doing it alone, when she brought up the party, I never properly apologized for that night. She said, chopping vegetables. That was so disrespectful to you, to our home, to Bruno. I was so caught up in being fun and spontaneous that I completely lost sight of what actually mattered. Yeah, that sucked. I ran into Kyle at the coffee shop yesterday. I looked up from the pasta I was stirring, and then he tried to talk to me, asked why I'd been ghosting him. I told him I was focusing on my relationship and wasn't interested in whatever he thought we had going on. How'd he take? Called me boring and said I'd chosen wrong, which honestly just proved I'd chosen right. We ate dinner at the table, novel concept, and talked about our days. She told me about a difficult client. I told her about a complicated rewiring job. Normal, boring, stable conversation between two people who actually cared about each other's lives. After dinner, she pulled out her phone. I want to show you something. She opened her Instagram and showed me her close friends list. I removed you from this ages ago when I was being shady. But I want you back on it, and I want to go through my following list and removed anyone who doesn't respect our relationship. She went through her social media right there, removing Kyle and several other guys who'd been sliding into her DMs there. Clean slate. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. These guys don't respect boundaries and I wasn't shutting them down because I liked the attention. But that attention isn't worth losing what we have. Dave came over for a barbecue that weekend. Hadn't had him over in months because things had been so tense. He and Natalie actually got along for the first time in forever. You seem good, he said to me while we were manning the grill, like actually good. Not just pretending getting there. She's different too. Less. He searched for the word, defensive. Yeah, we both needed a wake-up call. Well, I'm glad you worked it out. Was getting tired of you crashing on my couch. Andrea and her dog joined us at the park the next Sunday. Natalie came with me this time, and the two women got along immediately. Andrea, as Golden and Bruno played while we all talked about dogs and work and weekend plans. You two are cute together, Andrea said at one point. When she talks about you, you can tell she really cares. Natalie smiled. Took me almost losing him to realize how much we walked to get coffee. After all three of us plus the dogs, it was easy and comfortable. And dreamery. This is what relationships should feel like, supported by friends, built on communication, stable enough to weather problems without falling apart. Lying in bed with Bruno snoring at her feet. Natalie turned to me. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not giving up completely. For giving me a chance to fix things. A lot of guys would have just walked away. Almost did. I know. And I wouldn't have blamed you. She paused. I'm gonna spend a really long time making this up to you. You already are. 3 months later, things are genuinely good, not perfect. No relationship is, but solid. We've got our routines back, but healthier ones. We communicate. We make time for each other. We respect boundaries and schedules. Natalie still goes out with her work friends, but now I know when and where. I still have poker night and fishing trips, but I check with her first. If it conflicts with something we plan together, it's basic courtesy that somehow became radical in the middle of her independent spiral. The biggest change is how we handle conflict. When something bothers us, we talk about it immediately, instead of letting it fester. She doesn't dismiss my concerns as controlling, and I don't shut down and withdraw. Gemini said. The turnaround wasn't overnight, but the dynamic in the apartment shifted from a Cold War back into a home. Natalie started making an effort that didn't feel performative. She wasn't just checking in because she had to. She was sharing her life because she wanted me to be a part of it again. I kept my side of the street clean too. I didn't hold the past over her head like a weapon, but I also didn't go back to being the guy who sat on the porch waiting for her headlights to hit the driveway. I kept my Friday poker nights, kept hitting the gym, and kept my friendship with Dave and the guys as a priority. I realized that part of the reason she'd felt she could walk all over me was that I'd made my entire world revolve around her. Never again. One Tuesday, about a month after our real talk, I walked in from a long shift on a commercial site. I was covered in dust and exhausted. Natalie was in the kitchen, and for a split second, I had a flash of that night with the cold chicken Alfredo. But this time she looked up, smiled, and actually put her phone down on the counter. Hey, she said, walking over to give me a hug that actually felt like she meant it. I'm making tacos. I checked the fridge and realized we were out of that hot sauce you like, so I ran out and grabbed some. Should be ready in 20 minutes. Thanks, Nat smells good. Also, she added, leaning against the counter, the office is doing a launch party this Thursday. I told them I'd only stay for an hour to show my face, then I'm coming home. Do you want to watch that documentary we talked about? I looked at her, seeing the person I'd fallen for 3 years ago, but with a new layer of maturity. She wasn't asking permission, and she wasn't rebelling against a dad figure. She was participating in a partnership. Sounds like a plan, I said. Bruno trotted into the kitchen, his tail thumping against the cabinets. He looked at Natalie, then at me, and finally let out a satisfied huff before flopping down right in the middle of the floor. He didn't look stressed, and he didn't look like he was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Giving her exactly what she asked for, that total independence, was the hardest thing I'd done in our relationship, but it was the only thing that could have saved it. She had to learn that independence doesn't mean being alone, it means choosing who you want to be dependent on. And for the first time in a long time, we were both choosing each other. Would you like me to write a follow-up scene where Natalie has to face Kyle or her coworkers after setting these new boundaries?